Almighty Allah, I have become 3 times governor and 3 times senator. My wife has been 3 times House of Reps member and is now a minister. I left a legacy of almost 0 thuggery and no rigging in Yobe State. Many people have asked me how I did it. I wrote the book Politics to explain why I always had the support of my people. For the book launch, you can launch as many books as you want, starting from 50,000 naira per book. Part of the proceeds will go to the IDPs and for the education of orphans and the poor. Checks and payments should be made out to Booker Abba Ibrahim Foundation, Politics UBA, account 10213253343. You may please confirm attendance through my phone numbers or through my co-author Sam Aga Egu or on his email. Yours sincerely, Senator Booker Abba Ibrahim, CON NFIQS NFIA Galadime Gazogam. Let me recognize the presence of staff and students of Shepherd Fold Academy, Garki, Abuja, and staff and students of Fountain School, Masaka, Nasarawa State, and staff and students of Bedrock International School, Mararaba, Nasarawa State, who are all in our gallery to observe the Senate proceedings. I wish them a fruitful observation of our proceedings. You can all sit down. Leader of the Senate.
Point of order, sir.
Yes, point of order, Deputy Senate President.
Sir, you just read the communication from Mr. President regarding FEMA. And Your Excellency, I just want to call the attention of this Senate to the provisions of Section 14(4) of our Constitution. It says that the composition of the government, 14(3), the composition of the government of the Federation or any of its agencies and the conduct of its affairs shall be carried out in such a manner as to reflect the federal character of Nigeria and the need to promote national unity and also to command national loyalty, thereby ensuring there shall be no predominance of persons from a few states or from a few ethnic or other sectional groups in that government or in any of its agencies. I don't have problem with any particular part of Nigeria, but I have problem with the way government is directing its appointments. Over the last 2-3 weeks, sir, we've had cause to either discuss this FEMA that has been announced today, or the NDIC, or the AMCOM, or Federal Civil Service Commission. The heads of all these parastatals have come from one particular part of Nigeria. And this is completely unfair. We can't sit in this Senate and allow that to go on. So I believe we need to point it out to the federal government to ensure that every part of Nigeria is represented in the running of Nigeria. So this is completely unacceptable to me, sir.
Sorry, DSP, the letter says that the manager, a chairman, a manager, and 6 representatives drawn from each of the 6.
I'm talking the leadership of these agencies. All of them have come from one part of Nigeria. Mr. President. The leadership of all this.
Leader of Senate.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, I listened to the Deputy President of the Senate. I listened to the submission by our brother and leader, the Deputy President of the Senate. Mr. President, let me say that when government whenever government sends in any request for confirmation of appointments, government does its homework very well. Mr. President, what the Deputy President of the Senate raised is not to have a complete picture. He has restricted his consideration to very few. If you go to the larger picture, that issue is not supposed to be predominance. But if we can have the larger picture, I'm sure that we could see a balanced spread of appointments. So I don't want us to really devote so much time to looking at the very narrow picture of what government is doing in terms of
thank you. Distinguished colleagues, the DSP has come on a point of order. This matter is too sensitive for us to be speculative. Anything anybody is going to say here is based on his own opinion of what he thinks the issues are. Why don't we just make it easier for ourselves? We have a chairman of federal character. Let's ask him to carry out the exercise to us and give us the report. And then when he gives us the report, we contribute, and then we'll be able to know whether it is DSP's analysis, right, or his leader. I think don't let us. I think this is the best thing. So the point of order is noted, and the chairman federal character. The chairman federal character by next week Tuesday should give us a report. I think that's yes.
Order, please. Order, please.
Distinguished colleagues, this matter was just for reading. We are not. It is reading. It has not been consent to committee.
Order, please. Order, please. Order, please.
Point of order. Senator Mohammed Hassan. Mohammed Hassan, point of order.
Thank you. Order, please.
I would like to come
Mr. Chairman.
Order 43.
Sorry, Senator Mohammed Hassan is on point of order.
Oh, okay, sorry. No.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I would like to come under Order 43. With your kind permission, Mr. President, I would like to read.
Go ahead.
By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The matters of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought. Mr. President, I would like to observe that last week I brought a motion on the floor of the Senate regarding the demise of late Mala Adamuchuru. And part of the resolution was to set up a delegation led by Senator Abla Adamu. Now, the delegation visited the Fika Emirate Council, and that I received a call yesterday from the Emir of Fika to thank the Senate, especially the members of the delegation led by Senator Abla Adamu, the members Senator Ben Bruce, Senator Theodore Oji, Senator Ubali Shitu, Senator T.Y. Danjuma. They were all there to...
Order, please. Senator Ogoji, Senator Obina, go back to your seat. Order, please. Senator Obina, please go back to your seat.
So, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Emirate is sent its regards to this Senate, and they said I should thank the Senate for that resolution. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Noted. Yes, Senator Utazi.
I'm on the coalition course with you. Which king? Don't talk like that. That's what going to call.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm coming on order 15, privilege. If you permit, I read, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Any senator may arise at any time to speak on a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and he shall be preferred to move without notice the motion declaring that a contempt or breach of privilege has been committed, or referring the matter to the Committee on Ethics and Privilege. If the matter is raised in the Committee of the Whole, the Senate shall leave the chair to report progress. Mr. President, I'm speaking on privilege based on the issue before all of us here. The issue raised here is very, very important about the federal character principle in handling issues of national importance.
Senator Tazi, you know I will have to rule you out on that. We've already ruled on that, and you cannot bring it back.
Mr. Senator, we are talking about to step this one down until the federal character comes back.
Senator Tazi, what do you step down? Be attentive. I only read the communication. We have not referred it to any committee. So what am I stepping down? Please, I'll rule you out of order. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President.
Order, please.
Mr. President, very respected colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of the ad hoc committee report on the promissory note program and a bond issuance to settle inherited local debts and contractual obligations. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Francis Alemekena, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Senator Francis Alemekena.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Francis Alemekena, representing the good people of Edo North. Mr. President, I rise to move that the Senate do receive the report of the ad hoc committee on promissory note program and the bond issuance to settle inherited local debts on contractual obligations on report to state government for projects executed on behalf of the federal government. I so move.
Senator Gilbert Naji.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion moved by Francis Alemekena that the Senate will receive the report of the ad hoc committee on preliminary notes program and a bond issuance to settle inherited local debt and contractual obligations on refund of state government for projects executed on behalf of the federal government. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive the report of the ad hoc committee on promissory note program and the bond issuance to settle inherited local debts and contractual obligations on refund to state governments for projects executed on behalf of the federal government. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Alemekena, you can lay your report.
You are not going to be about don't try it again. This will be the first and last. Don't try it. You are not used to it, so don't try it again.
Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of the Conference Committee report on the Federal Audit Service Commission in 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Matthew Rogide, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Senator Matthew Rogide.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Senator Matthew Rogide, I represent the South Central District. Mr. President, I rise to move that the Senate will receive the report of the Committee on Public Accounts on the Federal Audit Service Commission Bill 2018 HB 107. I so move.
Senator Gubri.
Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, my name is Ibrahim Gober, representing Sokoto East. I second that the Senate will receive the report of the Committee on Public Accounts on the Audit Service Commission Bill 2018. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive report of the Committee on Public Accounts on the Federal Audit Service Commission Bill 2018 HB 107. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Senator Matthew Rogide, please come and lead the report. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President CNC for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as chairman and commissioners for the Federal Civil Service Commission in accordance with Section 154, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the names are 1. Dr. Bello Tukur Ngawa, OON, Chairman, Katsina, new appointment. 2. Moses Musa Mbale, Commissioner, Adamawa, new appointment. 3. Waziri Umara Burno, MNI, Commissioner, Borno, new appointment. 4. Alhaji Bello Mahmoud Babra, Commissioner, Jigawa, new appointment. 5. Architect Ahmed M. Sarna, Commissioner, Kebi, new appointment. 6. Princess Iyabode Odulate Yusu, Commissioner, Ogun, new appointment. 7. Sheikh Umar Danyaya, Commissioner, Niger, new appointment. 8. Batai Newton Adebayo O, Commissioner, Oyo, new appointment. 9. Chief Joe Michael Chukwuemeka, Commissioner, Anambra, new appointment. 10. Joe Philip Roma, Commissioner, Rivers, new appointment. 11. Alhaji Ibrahim Mohammed, Commissioner, Kaduna, renewal of appointment. 12. Professor Aminu Gio Shedu, Commissioner, renewal of appointment. And 13. Mr. Simon Etim, Commissioner, Akwa Ibom, renewal of appointment. Mr. President, distinguished senators, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of Mr. President CNC to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President CNC be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action. I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion moved by the Senate leader. I so second.
Senator Mao.
Mr. President, I think I thought you had ruled on this issue that we should step down this point from the other paper until we get the report of the Federal Character Committee.
No, it was
and I still want to move, sir.
It was FEMA that I read that he made.
No, what I'm saying, this was the contentious issue.
No. It was FEMA.
Mr. President, if we want to shout no, I can do better as a comrade, but I don't want to go that route of shouting no. But what I'm saying is that, Mr. President, in line with what was discussed and this one, I am moving and suggesting that we should step down this item until the Committee on Federal Character comes in and gives us give us a true picture, because we cannot have everything coming from one area. We are talking about federal character, so let's make it holistic, so that the federal character should come up like supporting the leader in a way that we should look at the holistic full picture, so that we can work together. So I'm saying this should also go the same way.
Okay. Listen, can we agree one thing? Do we agree that if federal character brings the report on Tuesday, we can? This is for screening, isn't it? Let them carry on with their screening, but we do not consider. Let us, because don't forget we are going to be away. Let's be fair. Can we agree one thing? Let's agree. Let us allow them carry out their screening. We will take the report from federal character on Tuesday. If the federal report from character on Tuesday supports what we are saying, then we do not move ahead on Wednesday. But if it doesn't, then we allow the report of the committee to come on Wednesday. Yes. I think that is fair. Yes. Do we agree that that is fair?
No. Yes.
Yes? Yes. All right, sir. Yes, point of order, Senator Otazi.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, I am Senator Otazi. I represent the good people of Enugu North Central District of Enugu State. Mr. President, I'm still on 15 privilege. Mr. President, you will just raise the issue of federal character as a consensus firmer. And we said we will wait for the federal character to report. While we are still doing that, another issue came up again. And that one is the Federal Civil Service Commission. So if we want to be seen, to be doing justice to all parts of the country, Mr. President, I am of the opinion that we should not continue with the screening, because if you go, it will be functions official that for them, if they conclude everything, and we still come back and start talking about the issue. So if we want actually to do justice to all parts of the country, I'm of the opinion, I'm strong of the opinion, that we should keep everything in abeyance. Let the Constitution. After that, we can now look at the issue politically. I so move.
Distinguished colleagues, we're all on the same side. Nobody wants any injustice to any part of this country. But we all agree that at the moment we're just all speculating. It's not based on a document that we've all agreed on. I'm just asking a plea that let us get the document from federal character. If the document from federal character suggests what you are saying, then we will hold action. But if it will be unfair, if the document from federal character does not support that. So all I want to appeal, we'll tell our chairman of federal character, bring a report on Tuesday. If the report on Tuesday suggests that TSP is right, then we will not consider this report. I give you a word on that. And if it's not, we will consider the report. I think this is only fair. Distinguished colleague, let us
There is prima facie evidence already on the existence of injustice already. In terms of appointment of headship, in terms of appointment of headship of all the military establishments in this country, all the police, everything here is on one side. So there is evidence already. What we are looking for is already. So if we have prima facie evidence existing, I'm of the opinion that we should get everything, keep everything in abeyance until we have the report. Everybody knows it. That there is a prima facie evidence that we have suspended appointment of position here. That's what I'm saying here. So we should not continue further with this in here because it's injustice to this country.
Okay, distinguished senator, you know, I've allowed you to, I've heard you, and I appreciate your sentiments. I don't think Tuesday is that far away. Let us see the report. If you are right on the report, you will achieve what you want to do. We've all given you that if it is true, we will not move any further. Them screening the member does not mean that it means that they are confirmed. They can be screened and the report will stay there. Tuesday we'll look at the report, and based on the report we'll take action. That I can assure you. I'm not somebody that will stand for injustice. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you very much.
Okay, point of order. Which order?
43. Mr. President,
you need to refine it.
by the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, the Senator may make a personal explanation. Although, Mr. President, the point I want to raise. Are you presiding? Are you the one presiding? Are you the one presiding? Mr. President. Mr. President, I have never asked you this morning. Mr. President, I have never asked you this morning. additional issue, I also want to mention about states. Because if you look at this appointment that was made, there are some states, for instance, it is the turn of Ebonyi State, but when you look at that appointment, the state that had not finished, they were reappointed again, instead of appointing when the appointment was made. So I want to is that happening holistically, but you handle it together. That is not what I'm saying, Mr. President. Sit down.
Senator Ogba, this point, this is not the time. We're not even referring it to the committee yet. Your point is noted. When the committee starts their work, the matter will come up, and when they bring their report, the matter. So you have opportunities to bring by. Your point is noted. All right. This is referred to Committee on Establishment and Public Service, and report back by Wednesday. Wednesday. Who is the deputy chairman of federal character? Because I can't see the chairman.
The person that finished now, the executive.
No, that.
And the inside of Edo, there are nobody there now for many of these states. Not because of the other Edo or Odo. Because they do, they know Edo.
Okay. All right. Just for emphasis. No. The committee of federal character. I can't see the chairman, but I can see some members. I see Senator Wamako. I see Senator Rafi Ibrahim. I see some key members. I see Gesham. Please ensure that your chairman and vice chairman and your committee meets and get us a report by Tuesday on this matter. No, you were there in 7 Senate. You are now in petroleum. You have forgotten about federal character. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. The second order of the day, Chamba is rowdy now.
Order, please. Order. Order, please. The Senate opener, take your seat. Senator Anyang, please go back to your seat.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Special Duties. The second order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Special Duties on the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was laid on Wednesday, the 6th of June, 2018. Mr. President, we wish to invite Senator Sono Boji, the Vice Chairman of the committee,
Order, please.
to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Order, please. Order, please.
Sono Boji.
Who's going to take it? Senator Sonny, good.
Mr. President, come here, disturb him. I'm talking. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Sadubon, the Vice President and Committee on Special Duties. I wish to present a report of our committee on the bill for an act to repeal the National Commission for Refugees Act, CAP, N21LFN 2004
and enact the National Commission of Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons to provide a framework for management, rehabilitation, return, reintegration, and resettlement of victims of displacement, refugee, migration, and for related matters, SB 335. Preamble. This bill
Let's see that. Let me get someone to second that. Senator Gbenga Shafa.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion moved by Senator Sonny Boja to second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Special Duties on the National Commission of Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons Bill 2018 SB 335. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. There is a go ahead, Senator Sonny.
Senator Oji, go back to your seat.
The Senate at its plenary on Wednesday, 27th of September,
Senator Mao, be quiet.
Deliberated on the National Commission of Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons Bill SB 491. After painstaking and extensive deliberations on the principles of the bill, it was read for the second time and referred to the State Committee on Special Duties for further legislative action with a Senate order of 28th September 2017 and to report back its recommendation. This bill was sponsored by distinguished Senator Muhammad Ubali Shitu, Jigawa Northeast Senatorial District, and was read for the first time on Tuesday, 22nd November 2016. Objectives of the bill. The bill, in the committee's view, seeks to repeal the Extant Act and reenact it in order to safeguard the interests of refugees, migrants, and internally displaced persons in line with international best practices. This legislative step is timely in view of the plethora of internally displaced persons IDPs crisis as a result of the insurgency in the Northeast Zone and ethno-religious and communal conflicts across the country. The main objectives of the bill are: 1. Broaden the mandate of the Commission to accommodate internally displaced persons in Nigeria by empowering it to act as the central coordinating body for effective management and administration of refugees, migrants, and IDP-related matters in the country. 2. Effectively utilize the national policy on IDPs and migration in the country. 3. Create a platform for interaction and dialogue on refugees, IDPs, and migrant-related matters in Nigeria. 4. Avoid the establishment of new institutions with similar mandates as that of the Commission, thereby reducing the cost of governance in Nigeria. And 5. Facilitate effective management and accountable utilization of funds both from the government and international donor agencies on refugees, IDPs, and migrants in Nigeria, etc. Committee legislative actions. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, after the referral of the bill, the committee met to further deliberate on the provisions of the bill and to adopt the appropriate legislative framework in handling the referral. The committee also considered in detail the views expressed by distinguished senators during the debates on the general principles of the bill at the second reading stage. After extensive deliberations, the committee resolved to embark on wide consultations with relevant stakeholders on the bill and to crown it up with a committee hearing which is intended to provide a platform for interactions geared towards providing further input on the merits, justifications for the passage of the bill or otherwise by the National Assembly. The committee, in a bid to sensitize stakeholders ahead of the hearing, placed advertisements in the print and electronic media and invited memoranda on the provisions of the bill. The following stakeholders responded to our call for submission of memoranda. 1. The National Commission on Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Social Transformation Empowerment and Program Center, Step C, Civil Society Network on Migration and Development in Nigeria, Foundation for Charity and Community Health, Nigeria, Mavita Tender Heart Foundation, Moralake Babayeju, CSON NetMed, among others. It is pertinent to state here that apart from memoranda submissions, oral presentations were also made at the committee hearing by some stakeholders and members of the CSOs and NGOs. Highlights of presentations by stakeholders. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is important to stress here that stakeholders at the hearing made far-reaching and in-depth contributions on the provisions of the bill. In their unanimous presentation, they supported the passage of the bill by the National Assembly. Highlighted below are some of their presentations in support of the bill. Firstly, stakeholders submitted that the insurgency in the northeast zone of the country, as well as communal unrest and violent conflicts across the country, have exacerbated migration and internally displaced person situations in Nigeria in recent years. Over the years, Nigeria has not developed a functional framework to handle these emerging situations. As a result, whenever there is crisis, various statutory bodies usually come up to play their different and conflicting roles without proper and effective control structure. This has resulted in mismanagement of resources with little or no result to show for the national and international efforts geared towards handling the situation. Therefore, the bill under consideration has been developed to address all these issues as a national response in handling this seeming lacuna in our framework on the subject matter. Secondly, they stated that the enactment of this bill will ensure that migration, which is a multifaceted and complex dynamic, is properly and effectively managed in the country, and that Nigeria will take the lead in the regional and global efforts towards better migration administration, as the issue of coordination is key to effective management of migration-related matters. They posited that the enactment of the bill will further strengthen the National Commission for Refugees to lead and control all rapid response efforts in dealing with refugees, migrants, and internally displaced persons, thereby curtailing waste and duplicity of functions. Thirdly, they canvassed that for the bill to achieve what it is designed to achieve, there is need to domesticate the African Union Convention on the protection and assistance of internally displaced persons in Africa, otherwise known as the Kampala Convention, and the United Nations Convention on the protection of the rights of all migrant workers and their families, to which Nigeria is a party and signatory to. The domestication of these international obligations by Nigeria will have direct impact on the lives and well-being of the affected persons. Fourthly, they maintained that since the mandate of the National Refugees Commission was expanded through a federal government policy to include migration management and resettlement and rehabilitation of internally displaced persons, the Commission has steered the affairs of the Nigerian migration management mechanism in an all-inclusive manner through technical working groups that include relevant MDAs and civil society organizations. However, not very much has been achieved due to the absence of the legal and institutional framework which this bill seeks to cover on the Commission. Finally, stakeholders contended that the passage of this bill would ensure consolidation of the successes recorded so far and will no doubt provide the needed empowerment for the Commission to explore new frontiers by making migration within and outside Nigeria safe and orderly in a manner that will guarantee the protection of human rights of all migrants and security of all national territory and sovereignty. Legislative summary. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. At this juncture, I wish to state that the committee have critically scrutinized the provisions of the bill vis-à-vis the presentations made by stakeholders and the further input suggested by them to form part of the bill. In a bid to have a law that will stand the test of time, we strive to infuse new clauses into the bill, as such as set out in the table, with the aim of bringing on board the relevant provisions of the Kampala Convention and the United Nations Convention on the Protection of the Rights of all migrant workers and their families. This legislative initiative is in line with the provisions of Section 12, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, and with the federal government policy on migration and internally displaced persons in 2002-2009 respectively. The committee also carried out various amendments on the provisions of the bill. The amendment ranges from editorial corrections, redraft of some provisions for elegance, and introduction of new provisions to conform to modern drafting styles. The modification carried out by the committee are set out in the table for ease of understanding and clarity. Observations and findings. From the views canvassed by the stakeholders during the committee hearing and our subsequent analysis of the presentations vis-à-vis the provisions of the bill in the course of the committee's meetings, we therefore make the following observations and findings. 1. That stakeholders were unanimous in the support for the passage of the bill by the National Assembly. 2. That the Extant Act is a product of Decree number 52 of 1989, which is a legal instrument that incorporated the 1951 United Nations Convention relating to status of refugees, particularly its protocol in 1967 and 69 from the Organization of African Unity Convention governing specific aspects of refugees' problems in Africa. 3. The above mentioned framework, which is decreed, provided a needed guide and procedure to be adopted in the protection and management of asylum seekers and refugees in Nigeria at the time. 4. That since the promulgation of the decree, no attempt has been made to either amend or repeal it in order to accommodate or encompass emerging trends. Hence the need for this legislative bold step that seeks to broaden the scope of the Commission in line with its global best practices. 5. That the Extant Act in its present form is spent, obsolete, and cannot stand the test of time. This accounts for the reasons why the federal government in 2002 and 2009, respectively, through a policy, mandated the Commission to coordinate national action for the protection and assistance of refugees, asylum seekers, returnees, stateless persons, internally displaced persons, and migrants. But this is just a mere policy that has no statutory backing of the law. The passage of this bill, therefore, will strengthen the Commission's statutory to perform these functions effectively. 6. That the passage of the bill will streamline all national and international efforts towards effective management of the migration and internally displaced persons issues in the country. And 7. That the passage of the bill will safeguard the interests of the refugees, migrants, and internally displaced persons in line with international best practices. This legislative step is timely and could be seen as an interventionist step towards addressing the plethora of IDPs and other related matters in the country, and should receive the support of this distinguished Senate. Recommendation. The Senate Committee of Special Duties to which the bill was referred, having critically and painstakingly considered same, recommends as follows: that the Senate do consider and pass the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons Repeal and Enactment Bill 2018 as amended. I so move. In conclusion, I wish to use this opportunity to thank His Excellency Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki, and our esteemed distinguished colleagues for the opportunity to serve in this capacity, humbly submitted to pass this bill. Thank you.
Any comments? If not, I'll resolve to. Oh yes, Senator Aijoko.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues. My name is Senator Atai Aidoko Ali. I represent Kogi. Mr. President, my comment is on this bill. Mr. President, if you look at this bill, there really is no correlation between the Instant Act and the committee recommendations. If you look at it carefully, there's some sort of confusion in this bill. And the title, the remark area, if you look at it, you don't even understand the relationship between the remarks made and the amendment. So if we go into consideration of this report without looking at the drafting of this bill, we might end up into confusing ourselves. So they may need to explain how this thing is like. I give you the first example. Like you say on the instant law column, long title. After that, nothing. Then you come to the recommendation. You have item 1 and item 2. You don't know what the instant law is, and you're going to get committee recommendation. And if you go on and on and on, there's no correlation between numbers in the committee recommendation and the instant law column. So I think we may need to look at it very before we go into consideration.
Okay, but I thought this is a repeal and reenactment. So it's a repeal.
No,
it's not an amendment. It's not an amendment. It's a repeal.
What you are repealing should be. It's not anything that was repealed.
Yeah, Senator Mao.
Mr. President, distinguished Senator Mao Abia North.
Mr. President, there is a difference between a repeal when we want to repeal and when we want to amend an act. When you want to amend, it's when you have to compare the existing law with the amendment. This is a complete, we are repealing, so it's like a new bill. So there is no need to consider. But while considering, if you have any reason why we should look at the existing bill, then you let us, you call our attention there. But for now, I think this is, we're talking about repeal.
Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate resolves this committee of the vote to consider this particular subject.
Mr. President, I second the motion to resolve the committee of the whole to consider the report.
Colleagues, those in favor that we do resolve in the committee of the whole consider this clause by clause, say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Guys have it. The same colleagues, there are 48 clauses here. So, clause 1. Clause 2. Those in favor that clause 1 and 2 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. There is a clause 3. Those in favor that clause 3 stands part of the bill say aye. Say nay. There is a clause 4. Yes, clause 4, Senator Lani.
Mr. Chairman, I'm wondering why this, the composition of the commission. It seems to me as if almost the entire membership of the commission are just government appointees. we only have the chairman of the board, and then you have representatives from from government agencies. And the only exception is the representative of civil society. So it's more or less a government affair, and I don't know why it should be a government affair. I would have expected that you would have a mix of government appointees and some people from outside the government. But it appears this is an entirely government affair. I don't know what explanation they have for that.
C and D on the next page. Is that not adequate, or is that adequate?
Okay. And then D, they are international organizations, not government.
So what are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that we should add people who are from outside the government, maybe from the Bar Association, Nigerian Bar Association. No, it's not Nigerian Bar Association. No, Human Rights Commission is a government organization.
So there's only one person outside government, the civil society. MBA and who else? Tell Danny, make your suggestion. Just MBA?
Yes, if I may suggest Nigerian Bar Association, as a member of the commission, member of the board.
Anybody seconding that? Yes, entirely. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, so let me put the question in. Those in favor that clause 4 with an amendment to have a member of a representative of the Nigeria Bar Association as a member. Any other amendment on that? Yes, so I can put the question. Yes, Senator Mawaba.
Since we are talking about the composition and looking at the law title, which is National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons, and you have representative of Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you have representative of Federal Ministry of Justice, I think it's right that it's either you have a representative of the Ministry of Health or a representative of the Nigerian Medical Association, because you're talking about the life of human beings and you're talking of internally displaced persons. So you need somebody who can give the health perspective in this commission, either representative of the Ministry of Health or maybe a representative of the Nigerian Medical Association. Thank you, Mr. President.
Second to that. Yes, Senator Marafa.
Thank you, Mr. President. My respected colleagues, I rise to second the prayer moved by my colleague, Senator Mao, that there be a representative from the Health Ministry or MBA for the purpose of looking after the health issues.
Supporting that there should be a member of the Nigerian Medical Association. Okay. Yes. Another member? From where? Is there somebody from immigration? Is there? Let me put the question. Those in favor of that clause 4 as amended to include a member from MBA and a member of the Nigerian Medical Association. Those in favor of clause 4 as amended say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 5. Stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 6. Yes, Senator Ledani.
I think there appears to be a duplication in clause 6 of clause 3. Clause 3 is further duplicated as clause 6. Subject to the provisions of this bill, a member of the board shall hold office on such terms and conditions as may be specified in his letter of appointment. And then clause 6, subject to any other provisions of this bill, a member shall hold on such terms and conditions as may be specified in his letter of appointment. So I suggest we delete 6 because 6 is a duplication of 3.
Observation. Who's seconding that? Yes, Senator Shitu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman, I write this motion up in the move by Senator Ledani.
Those in favor of clause 6 as amended, that is to delete 6.6, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 7. Clause 7 goes up to page 13. Those in favor that clause 7 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 8. 14. Clause 8, page 14. Those in favor of clause 8. Clause 8. Yes, Senator Mao.
Mr. President, Senator Mao, not. Mr. President, I want the chairman to clarify 8A and 8C, because 8B and 8C, 8B is saying delegate its powers to any specific person or committee and to grant such person or committee general or specific powers of sub-delegation. Then D said delegate any of its powers under this act to any specific person or committee with general or specific powers of sub-delegation. I think there is that's what I'm saying now. So you can't have, so you are, and I think the right thing actually is to delegate any of his powers. I don't think delegating your powers, it should be any of his powers. So which means D actually should be appropriate, not B. B should be deleted.
Who is seconding that? Senator Ajokwe.
It's repetitive, the same wordings and same provisions. So we have to delete C, as it were. Set up appropriate advisory committees composed of administrative, technical, and other aspects, experts in humanitarian refugees, the same thing in C.
Those in favor that we delete B and C in clause B and C, say aye. Those against say nay. There is a clause 9. Yes, Senator Marfa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Marafa, representing them for Central. Mr. President, 9B. The provision of the former bill says a person with not less than 10 years relevant requisite experience in refugee, humanitarian development, or migration issues. The committee, I feel what they did is counterproductive. They said be a person with not less than 10 years postgraduate experience, and it stops there.
What?
So the former provisions are more, are richer, and because this is a very sensitive place. So you just don't say person with less than 10 years. So I want to move that we retain the former provision as against the committee's recommendation. The committee's recommendation doesn't carry anything. B.
I second that. Yes. Yeah. Colleagues, I actually support D of the old part because there should be covenant experience. Otherwise, it will be meaningless. So I support it.
Those in favor that clause 9 be amended to read, be a person with no less than 10 years relevant requisite experience in refugee, humanitarian development, or migration issues. Those in favor of that amendment say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 10. Those in favor of clause 10 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 11. Those in favor that clause 11 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 12. Those in favor that clause 12 stands part of this. Yeah, 12, yeah.
12 to 12. Well, from the beginning, they said it is appeal board. And when you look at the powers vested on the commissioner on 9, on 11, it says they can do a lot. So then, but in consultation with the Refugee Appeal Board. So I'm saying this against the background of what is happening almost everywhere now in the country and with the abuses we are seeing of these issues. Now, B says consists of not more than 3 legal practitioners, one of whom shall be a retired judge with requisite knowledge in international humanitarian law. Mr. President, I want to appeal here that we inject federal character in this composition of the board. Because when you look at the powers given and they said in consultation with this board, I'm afraid with what is happening now, some people might be suffering something and they might not be either designated as that or something. So I want to suggest that after the chairman to consist of 6 people, 1 at least from each geopolitical zone, so that there will be good representation in the board. Mr. President, I want to make that amendment. Yes, the appeal board. Item B, they said after the A, they said consist of no, yes, when you look at the powers of the board, it's not too much when you have 7 people. Yes, 7, the chairman and the 6 members. It says only 3 now.
Senator Shiju.
I rise, Mr. Chairman, the same colleagues, I rise to second the amendment as moved by Marafa.
For those in favor of the amendment to include, that would be a new section, yes? That would be a new section D or what? Correction B. What about the 3 legal practitioners? What happens to them? They remain. Yes? Should go. So you just to call the chairman and a member from each geopolitical zone. But is there a reason why they want the legal practitioner? Why can't we just add this legal practitioner? Yeah. Okay, so B should consist of chairman, one member from each geopolitical zone, and 3 legal practitioners.
Is that I don't think we every law has its financial implication, and if we overbloat it, you're going to pay these guys both sitting allowance and all that. I think that since we are talking about legal practitioners, they are Nigerians and they are from geopolitical zones. So instead of saying 3 or 6, let's say these 3 of whom or 6 of whom must be legal practitioners. Yes.
B will now read consists of a chairman and 6, and each member from each geopolitical zone, or which 3 of them must be legal practitioners. 3 is fine. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 13. 13. Which, you want to take us to clause 12, is it?
Chairman, if you look at 12A and 12.4, you will see that for 12A, the appeal will be set up by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation in consultation with the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice. That's okay. Then when you go to 4, you say the appeal board shall meet at the instance of the Federal Commissioner or the Secretary to the Government. Here, I am thinking that it means 4. Yeah, 4. It means that the Secretary to the Government, having set up the board, will again determine when they will meet, which will create some conflict and exercise of discretionary powers. Why not we delete or the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and leave it at Federal Commissioner? Mr. Chairman,
I second that.
The Secretary to the Government had already set up the appeal board. Why is it that the appeal board will now meet again at his instance? So let the appeal board meet at the instance of the Federal Commissioner. So we delete from or the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. So that's my amendment.
I thought the reason why they said that is that there may be times where the Federal Commissioner is not in place. Because if you go to functions shall be carried out, shall be to carry out other functions may be assigned to you for any by the Federal Commissioner or the Secretary to Government.
The point I'm making is the Secretary of Government, having set up the appeal board, should allow them to operate unhindered. Our experience in this situation is that the Secretary of Government will stay in his office and remote control the activities, and at the end of the day, they will be not performing. So why not we eliminate that? Having set up the board, let the board be given full powers to operate.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I think on item number 4, it is better to state that the appeal board shall meet at the instance of the chairman of the board.
No, not
the chairman of the board, not the Federal Commissioner or the SGF. It should be at the instance of the chairman of the board, because it is the board that is supposed to meet to do this.
No. Yeah, Mr. President, I'm in support of all of them, but with amendment his and his own. I don't want us to concentrate this power on somebody. Clearly, the provision now is not right to say that at the instance of the Secretary to the Government should not be allowed. And to say to the chairman of the board only is not right. To the board now, let it be at the instance of the board.
Appeal board.
No, they have their own board. These are two boards. No. There is the board of the commission itself. Then this one is an appeal board. So who would mandate the appeal board to sit now? Because no, wait. The appeal board, the essence is when there are discontentment from some people, and they make an appeal that maybe we are supposed to be recognized as an internally displaced people, and we are not. And we now write appeal. Now we should not subject it to the decision of the secretary to the government. And the chairman too should not be allowed only unilaterally to decide, because he might decide otherwise. But if it is the board of the commission itself, not this appeal board, now there will be more of a balance, and people would be more careful in what they do.
Chairman is the board.
Okay.
Nobody seconding that. So can we go back to? Yeah, is there anybody seconding that one of the chairman? That the appeal board shall meet at the instance of the chairman. Chairman of the board. Yes. No.
The appeals board is to consider appeals against decisions taken by the federal commissioner. So if you make him the chairman or the person who will summon meetings, he may not do it. It's better we make the chairman of the board to be the one to summon the meeting.
So the same colleagues, those in favor of 12.4 as amended, that means that people shall meet at the instance of the chairman of the board. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Clause 13. Yes, Senator Ali Sabi.
Thank you, Aliu Sabi of the line, Niger North. Mr. Chairman, this clause, if you look at it against the background of clause 7, where the functions of the commission was elaborately given, I am a little bit worried that this same function might conflict with that original intendment of the commission. So within that context, yes, I understand this is consultative, but I'm also worried that consultation appears to be more of a passive process. And so if we want this mandate to make the required impact, I want to suggest that this should be taken as a technical committee rather than a consultative committee, so that the functions that they have been given there will now fall within the realm of a technical issue as it relates to the subject matter of the commission. So first, I would like to make a recommendation that rather than a consultative committee, let it be a technical committee, so that way up ab initio we are sure they will be doing something that will actually make impact to the organization. Because consultation appears like a kind of passive process. So this is my first suggestion.
Mr. President, Senator Mao Wabia North, I stand to support Sabi's proposal, because if you look at this, if we continue to set up committees, it will become unwieldy. So I thought that what this bill or this bill should talk about is mandating the commission to set up committees that are relevant to the functions of the commission. Because if you look at it, we are setting up a committee, bringing in more people outside, because it's not the same membership that is membership of appeal or the membership of the commission. It will become unwieldy. So I think there are certain things we should allow the commission for the day-to-day running of the commission, like he has just said. The committee should be able to set up committees or departments that they believe will assist in the smooth running of the commission.
So what's the amendment you're being proposed?
Section should be deleted. But what we should say is that in the decision that the commission has the power to set up relevant committees for the smooth running of the commission.
So we should delete the entire 13. Yes, Senator Ashafa.
Senator Ashafa from Lagos East Senatorial District. Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, I'd like to call your attention to the column where, the last column near 13, National Consultative Committee on Migration. Look at the reasons why the formation of this consultative committee is sacrosanct. And what they wrote there is that the committee introduced this innovative provision. The committee introduced this innovative provision to provide a platform for regular consultation because of the peculiar nature of the mandate of the commission. No, I'm on page 19, 13 on the side, and it goes further to say that this is necessary in view of the expanded scope of the commission contemplated in this bill for effective performance. So that committee for consultative meetings is very, very necessary. In this case, it's a peculiar commission. So we should retain it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we must be very careful about this issue. This is a very, very serious issue that has both domestic and international implications. Currently, the entire international debate, the political debate, which is gaining currency and prominence all over the world, between the European Union, America, breaking of trade alliances, and in fact the breaking of the entire post-World War II political architecture that has kept the peace in the world for the past 70 years. This one issue of migration and internally displaced persons had the capacity to undo the world and also destroy the political and economic boundaries between nations and regions. Therefore, in this regard, sir, I regard the innovation that has been made by the committee as very relevant, because this is an area where we need to engage both economic and political actors, and also people who have a vision, a much wider periscope that captures the issues that are going on in the world today. Imagine what is going on between Africa and Europe, and the break of populations in Asia impacting Europe. The world that Donald Trump is trying to build with Mexico and Central America, and the entire destruction of the World Trade Center, World Trade Arrangement. So we need a much wider group of people. That's why finance is very important, because the entire issue of economic relations between states and the entire issue of people migrating from poverty and unemployment and the entire issue of wars is very relevant here. That's why we need to have labor and employment. We need to have Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in a consultative capacity. If you introduce them at the level of the board alone, you are not answering these problems as regularly as they come. Therefore, Mr. President, I think this consultative arrangement with a much wider field is very central to the survival of this organization as an ongoing organization which is relevant to the conduct of human and security and economic affairs in the world. Therefore, I think what they have done, the innovation of the committee, is in the right direction, and I think we should not tamper with it and allow it to go as it is. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Those against say nay. Guys, we're going to make some progress, please. Yes, Senator Marfa.
Sorry, I just want you to advise. We have passed page 18, item, is it 19.5? No. 9, it's 9.5. However, reference is made to page 21, and I don't know whether to raise it now or to, because we have already passed it, and I think there is a problem there. Page 18.5, it says, subject to the provisions of section 21 of this bill, the appeal board shall hear any appeal against decisions of the eligibility committee on any case referred to it by the secretary to the government of the federation or by the federal commissioner. So they are limited by only 2. Now, if you go to page 31, that is the item 21 they are talking about. They said any person who is aggrieved by the decision of the federal commissioner, by the decision of the federal commissioner, and this one is saying that they can only hear appeals referred to it by the federal commissioner. I hope Mr. President has seen the problem I'm saying. So if you go to the, it says subject to the provisions of this section 21, and the section 21 is saying any person who is aggrieved by the decision of the federal commissioner to revoke the grant, and all of them are highlighted. Here, again, the one we have passed is saying that they can only hear appeals referred to them by the same federal commissioner. So I think we need to look at the provisions of 21 vis-a-vis the provisions of this section 5 to be able to pass section 5.
Chairman, you want to help us? Senator Sanyu, do you want to guide us? Page 18 and then page 31. Yes, Senator Aliusabi.
Yes, I think the way out, Mr. Chairman, is earlier on we have agreed that we should remove the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and retain, I think, the Federal Commissioner. I mean, no, that is the Chairman of the board is the... All right. What this one is saying is appeal in writing, that is by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, is what that committee is going to consider. So what we need to do now, yes, or by the Federal Commissioner, it says any person who is aggrieved by the decision of the Federal Commissioner to revoke the grant of refugee status may within 7 days of being notified of such revocation appeal in writing to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Now, the next one is saying, in any appeal under subsection 1 of this section, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation may either confirm or set aside the decision of the Federal Commissioner and shall communicate his decision on the matter to the complainant. So I think this is where the crisis is. We need to now interrogate this against the role of the board. Because obviously by this provision, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation is able to put aside whatever the board has done. So I think this is where we need to reconcile the two.
Senator Gubri.
Sure, Your Excellency. I think there is confusion here. Because if you look at the other section, that is section 21, it is saying that only the Federal Commissioner or the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. And in that case, it is tied to the two of them, yes. Right? So I think there is also a Secretary of the Commission here. And therefore, the best way out is to go back to the former one, that is the initial one, the old one, which is subject to the provision of this bill. The appeal panel shall hear appeals against the decisions of the eligibility committee. That means it can be referred to by anybody. And I think it's even better here, so that we don't have to say that. This is better, rather than saying the refuser should be the man also to refer it to the committee.
What are you proposing here? Four, you mean? Four. Okay, what do you want us to say there?
Subsection 5, that is the one that has been repealed, says, subject to the provisions of this bill, the appeal panel shall hear appeals against the decisions of the eligibility committee. This is correct, because anybody can now refer this to the committee, and the committee will look at it and then
the former provision.
Senator Marafa. Okay.
Yes, I second that we revert to the former provision of the bill as contained on the left-hand side of that submission. Yes, I second.
Colleagues, those in favor that clauses 12, subsection 5 be passed as amended, that is subject to provision of section 21 of this bill, the appeal portion shall any appeal against decisions of the eligibility committee, full stop. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So we go back to clause 13, which we've passed. So clause 14. Yes, Senator Chin.
Mr. Chairman, if you observe, there are so many committees that have been set up by this act. And generally it is said, apart from the parliament, where the committee system is very, very functional and relevant, when organizations do not want anything to work, they set up committees. That is what people have always advocated against. Now we are talking of, under section 14, Internal Displacement Management Committee. And you will see the number of representatives that be appointed by various offices. Mr. Chairman, one reason why we talk of poor budget implementation is maybe attributed to the number of public officers or civil servants that are holding meetings. Even when we go on oversight, they are meeting, they are invited to appear before committees, they are holding one meeting or the other. They are not going to be there. So why is it that we cannot, at least for once, think outside the box, look at other agencies, other organizations that will be made to be members of this committee and leave the civil servants to reduce, if for nothing else, the workload. Because if you go to the offices, they are busy attending meetings. And so budget will not be implemented. So I do not think that we are helping in the implementation of the provision of this act by setting up too many committees. I have no definite amendment to be made, but I thought that the committee that handled this will go back and review these committees. There are too many committees, and all centered around the Secretary of Government and the representatives of various ministries that should be doing some other things instead of holding meetings. So that's my view, Mr. Chairman.
Any other contribution on this matter, this section clause 14? Does anybody has a contrary view of that? I'll put the question in. Those in favor that clause 14 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against nay. The ayes have it. Clause 15. Those in favor that clause 15 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 16. Those in favor that clause 16 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 17. Those in favor that clause 17 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 18. Those in favor that clause 18 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 19. Those in favor that clause 19 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 20. Those in favor that clause 20 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 21. This is one we have changed, yeah? Yeah, Senator Gobri.
Clause 21, we need to go back to the repealed one. which is 18 subsection 1.
Yes.
It says any person aggrieved by a decision of the Director General to withdraw the grant of refugee status may within 7 days obtain notice of such withdrawal, appeal in writing to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. I think this is normal. Then we now delete section 21.
Further to that.
Yeah, you have to. No, because you have already taken care of that one in section 14. Yeah, you have.
I think, Mr. President. Mr. President, I rise to second the submission made by Senator Godin. And to even say that the whole of 18 should be, we are supposed to reverse back to the former 18 as contained in the former bill. The whole of 18. If you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it only attempted to give more powers to the Federal Commissioner only. That is just the amendment. Under the former provisions, suffices. So it's not only one, but the whole of 18, we revert back to the former provisions.
There appears to be some form of confusion. In section 15, there is certain powers that the Federal Commissioner has, which he can take a decision. After he takes a decision on the status of the refugee, then the refugee will now appeal, will forward it to the eligibility committee. Then the eligibility committee will go to the appeals committee if there's no, if it's not satisfactorily resolved. So, but now section 21 is saying that it is the secretary to the government of the federation, which to me appears to be a contradiction between section 21 and section 15 and 14 as well. I think the committee should go back and, yes.
I said they require more legislative work. That is the truth. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse to plenary for the chair to report progress.
Mr. Chairman, I support the motion that the chair does report progress.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate, the Committee of the Whole, considered the report of the Committee on Special Duties on the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons Bill 2018 and approved as follows: clauses 1 to 3 as recommended, 4 as amended, 5 as recommended, 6 as amended, 7 as recommended, 8 to 9 as amended, 10 to 11 as recommended, 12 as amended, 13 to 20 as recommended. The bill is referred back to the committee for more legislative work. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Communications on the Nigerian Postal Services Act Cap N127 LFN 2004, repeal and reenactment bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was led on Wednesday, the 24th of January, 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Gilbert Inaji to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Senator Gilbert Inaji.
Thank you, Mr. President. My very distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Gilbert Inaji, representing Enugu East Senatorial District. Mr. President, I move that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Communication on the Nigerian Postal Service Act Cap N127 LFL 2004 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2018 SB 106 and SB 437. I so move.
Senator David Umoru.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is David Umaru. I represent neither East Senatorial District. I rise, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to support the motion that ably moved by Senator Gilbert Inaji, that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Communications on the Nigerian Postal Services Act, Cap N127, LFN 2004, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2018. I so move.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Communication on the Nigeria Postal Services Act, Cap N127, LFN 2004, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2018, SB 106 and 437. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Gilbert Inaji, present your report, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. My very distinguished colleagues, I still remain Senator Gilbert Inaji, Enugu East. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, two bills were presented to the Senate on the Nigeria Postal Service Act, while I sponsored the NIPOST Act, Cap N127 LFN 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Act, Bill 2015. SB 106, distinguished Senator Benga Ashafa also sponsored NIPOST Act, Cap N127 LFN 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Act, Bill 2017, SB 437. The Senate in its plenary on Wednesday, 10th May 2017 and Wednesday, 5th April 2017, read the Nigeria Postal Service Act Cap N127 LFN 2004 Repeal and Reenactment Bill, SB 106 and SB 437, respectively, for the second time, and refer the same to this committee for further legislative action by as is stated in the report, and report back to the Senate with its recommendation. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the committee observed, after a critical clause-by-clause analysis of the two bills, that they touched on the same subject matter with similar intent and purport, save for the minor differences in the drafting style, clause numbering, and arrangement methodology. The committee embarked on the following legislative framework after a series of meetings. 1. Consulted widely with the stakeholders on the jurisdiction for the repeal and reenactment of the proposed legislation. 2. Conduct a public hearing. 3. Consider and harmonize the bill clause by clause. 4. Consider contributions by distinguished senators at the second reading of the bill. And 5. Consider other contributions which will assist the committee in discharge of its assignment. The objective of the bill. The main objective of the bill include, but not limited to, the following. 1. Repeal of the Nigerian Postal Service Act, Cap N127, LF 2004, and enact the Nigerian Postal Commission, the introduction of private sector participation in the provision of postal services and the regulation of the postal sector and for other related matters. 2. establishment of a regulatory framework for the Nigerian postal industry, and for this purpose, to create an effective, impartial, and independent regulatory authority. 3, splitting up the dual role of policymaker and independent regulator and industry operator, which NIPOS currently enjoys. 4, promotion of the provision of a modern, universal, efficient, reliable, affordable, and easily accessible postal service with the widest range and coverage throughout Nigeria. 5, encouragement of local and foreign investment in the Nigerian postal industry and the introduction of innovative service and practices in the industry in accordance with the international best practice and trend. And 5, creation of framework for digital and financial inclusion, engendering national security through verification, authentication, and validation of addresses. Committee legislative actions. The committee placed advertisement in the print and electronic media through wide memoranda we are invited, which memoranda we are invited from stakeholders and general public. The response of the memoranda, the committee received submission from the following organizations: Federal Ministry of Communication, Federal Ministry of Finance, PP Department, Ministry of Justice, and others. So, Mr. President, let me go to the legislative summary. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the legislative summary highlights further input made on the provision of the harmonized bill. It is pertinent to note that due to the apparent difference in the numbering and arrangement of the clauses of the two harmonized bills, the committee concentrated its effort on shifting from the two bills those clauses that are of utmost relevance to the objective and scope. These clauses and other few new insertions constitute the recommendation of the committee. Mr. President, in Clause 1, Clause 1 deals with objective and scope of application. Subclause 1 of this clause are a new insertion which aim at broadening the scope of the application of the bill to cover the provision of the postal service to unserved and undeserved rural communities, and promotion of small and medium-scale enterprise within the postal industry. Clause 2, new insertion. It deals with the provision of universal postal services. Clause 2.1 and Clause 2 are new insertions which establish the Nigerian Postal Service as a public operator and its major responsibility as the provider of postal services. As you can see on the clause by clause of the committee, let me go to the recommendation of the committee, Mr. President. That is observation and findings. Observation and findings from the presentation and the deliberation at the public hearing and other subsequent analysis of the provision of the harmonized bill. In our markup section, the committee made the following observations and findings. 1, the stakeholders are unanimous in their support for the passage of this bill. 2, that the economic and social importance of the bill cannot be overemphasized, as it will encourage local and foreign investment in Nigerian postal industry and the introduction of innovative service and practices in the industry. 3, the Nigeria, as a matter of necessity, need to align with global trends in the postal sector, where postal laws have been successfully amended to separate regulations from the operation to support the development of the sector as practiced by West African neighboring countries like Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and Niger Republic, etc. Then 5, that the resulting diversified activities in the postal network will engender employment
for the teeming youth and create opportunity for the small and medium enterprise to find international and local market for their goods and services through the postal e-commerce portals. Recommendation. Following from the presentation made during the public hearing and the foregoing observations and findings, the Committee on Communication, to which the bill was referred, having favorably considered said, recommend as follows. That the Senate do consider and pass the bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Postal Service Act, Cap N127 LFL 2004, and establish the Nigerian Postal Commission to make comprehensive provision for the development and regulation of postal services and for other related matters 2018, SB 106 and 437, as harmonized. I so move, Mr. President. Thank you.
Yeah, any comments here, Senator Ashefa?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Benga Ashefa, representing Lagos East Senatorial District. I stand before you to commend the chairman of the Committee on Communications for aligning with the legislative agenda of the 8th Senate as prescribed by the Senate President and the leadership, bordering on some economic bills. This particular bill happens to fall within the economic bills that will move this country forward. We are trying to move away from a monolithic kind of economy that is relying on oil, and this is one area where we can tap, in order to generate revenues for our country. Again, I want to remind this sitting of what we did with the Nigerian Railway Corporation Act, the reenactment of the bill, which provides the separation of powers from the operator to that of the regulator. This bill is going to do that for the Nigerian Postal Service. It will create level playing field, and through that, investor confidence will come in and bring about competition for better efficiency within that platform. Again, the most important part of it, one of the most important parts of it, is the security of the 9 post staff that are existing now. The meat and the content of that bill has taken care of that, and I want, by extension, second that motion that this bill be considered, and commend the new Postmaster General, Mr. Bisi Adegoye, for being the initiator of this particular, bill originally. Thank you and God bless.
Leader of Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate resolves into committee of the whole to consider the report clause by clause.
Mr. President, I support the motion that we resolve into committee of the whole to consider the bill clause by clause.
Those in favor of the motion which resolve to committee of the whole to consider this bill clause by clause, say aye. Those against, say nay. That is out. Distinguished colleagues, we have 133 clauses here. Is it 73? I'm sure it's 133. Huh? $133 clauses. Well, distinguished colleagues, let's move swiftly through this bill. I don't think there's anything here that is controversial, unless anybody has anything specific. Those in favor that clause 1 to 10 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. Those in favor that clause 11 to 20 stands part of the bill. Yes, Senator Yusuf.
Clause 14 on page 28. Any written, printed, or electronic matter formally attributed to his author, I think it should be to its author. That's the second line on page 28. It should be its author, not his author. Instead of amounting 3,000 naira, it should be amounting to 3,000 naira and above. That is line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Line 10.
Thank you. Senator Uchendu, you wanted to say something?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry I have to take you back. If you go to page 8, clause 3, 2, and 2A, you will see that there we have the board shall consist of a part-time chairman and the following other members. That clause does not tell us how the chairman will be appointed. But when you go to 32B, 32A, it now talks of the permanent secretary being the alternate chairman. If there's an alternate chairman, then there must be a chairman. And the clause or the act has not told us who the chairman is and how he will be appointed. And I thought that is there's a missing gap there, Mr. Chairman.
But it says, doesn't 2 say that? 3.2 says the board shall consist of a part-time chairman and a full member to be appointed by the Senate President subject to confirmation of the Senate. Is there? Yeah? Okay. Those in favor of clauses 11 to 20 as amended stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of clauses 21 to 30 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of 31 to 40 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of clauses 41 to 50 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor, we're now on page 82. Those in favor of 51 to 60 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We're now on page 93. Those in favor of clause 61 to 70 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 71 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 72, the short title, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor the schedules 1 and 2 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum on page 187 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the third schedule stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the long title on page 4 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse the plenary for the charge to report progress.
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion that we revert back to plenary to report progress.
Those in favor of the motion, I invite to plenary say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Communication on the Nigeria Postal Services Act, Cap N127 LFN 2004, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2018, approval as follows. 1 to 10 as recommended, 11 to 14 as recommended, 15 as amended, 16 to 20 as recommended, 21 to 30 as recommended, 31 to 73 as recommended, Schedules 1 to 3 as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the bill be now read a third time.
Mr. President, I second the motion that the bill be now read the third time.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the bill be read the third time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Nigeria Postal Services Act, Cap number 127 LFN 2004, to provide for the operations and development of postal services, the establishment of the Nigerian Postal Commission, and for related matters 2018 third reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the Nigeria Postal Services Act, Cap N127 LFN 2004, to provide for the operations and development of postal services, the establishment of the Nigerian Postal Commission, and for related matters is read the third time and passed. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Information and National Orientation on the Agency for National Ethics and Values, Establishment, etc. Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was laid on Tuesday, the 3rd of July, 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Suleiman Adokwe to move the motion for the consideration of the report.
Senator Suleiman Adokwe.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Suleiman Adokwe. I represent Nasarawa South Senatorial District. I move that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Information and National Orientation on the Agency for National Ethics and Values, Establishment Bill 2018. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator Abukari.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Abukari. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Information and National Orientation on the Agency for National Ethics and Values. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Information and National Orientation on the Agency for National Ethics and Values, Establishment, etc. Bill 2018, HB 519. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Suleiman Adokwe, kindly present your report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Report of the Senate Committee on Information and National Orientation on a bill for an act to establish the National Agency for Ethics and Values and to provide for the functions and powers of the agency, the qualifications and procedures for the appointment of the chairman and members, and for related matters. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate at its plenary sitting on Thursday, 1st of March 2018, deliberated on the Agency for National Ethics and Values Compliance Establishment Bill 2018, the House Bill 519. After debate on its general principles, which was led by the Senate leader, distinguished Senator Ahmed Lawal. The bill was read for the second time and referred to the Senate Committee on Information and National Orientation and further legislative action via Senate Order of Referral dated 6th March 2018 and to report back recommendations. It should be stated for avoidance of doubt that the bill is a House of Reps bill and it was passed in the House on Tuesday 17, 2017. The bill, in a nutshell, seeks to establish an agency to be saddled with the responsibility of making Nigeria an ethics-compliant society and to enforce high standards of probity in all walks of life. The objectives of the bill are to, 1, monitor and regulate the activities of establishments in both public and private sectors in order to maintain high standards of workplace ethics in Nigeria. 2, to enforce ethical standards to ensure that actions and behaviors of citizens and non-citizens conform to the highest standards of national ethics as provided in Chapter 2 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic as amended. 3, to complement the activities of the National Orientation Agency. And 4, to collaborate with the Nigerian police and the law enforcement agencies in the discharge of their statutory functions. The committee's legislative action includes, after the referral, the committee resolved to make further consultations with relevant stakeholders and thereafter carried out detailed clause-by-clause consideration of the provisions of the bill. This was done with a view to reporting on the bill within the given time frame and to ensure adherence to the all-inclusive nature of lawmaking process in line with the legislative agenda of the 8th Senate. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I wish to state here that the committee, having extensively perused through all the provisions of the bill, as well as in-depth analysis of proposed legislation based on its merits, is of the view that the legislative intent behind the bill are laudable. As a result, it is our concerted view that the bill be passed by the Senate, albeit some amendments proposed by the committee to address some of the few gray areas noticed in the bill as passed by the House of Reps. Legislative summary. The President, distinguished colleagues, I wish to state at this point that the committee critically scrutinized the provisions of the bill and vis-à-vis the analysis of views emanated from other further consultations. Undoubtedly, we can categorically state that the purpose of the bill as passed by the House of Reps is apt and should be accorded the necessary legislative support by my distinguished colleagues. We commend the laudable legislative intent behind the bill, and it is our view that the bill be passed but with necessary amendments as identified by the committee. These amendments range from the draft of some provisions, introductions of side notes to all the clauses that have sent, as well as insertion of a schedule to the bill because the draft bill had no schedule. The committee also merged some provisions of the bill that have similarities of intendments as they deal with the same subject matter. Legally, this makes for ease of reference because of community reading of the bill and clauses. Consequently, the clauses of the draft